Okay, hey, welcome to part 3 of our guitar build. Today we've got, as you can see, we're working on a new guitar wall in the showroom here, so we wanted to just do the intro for this video out here because we're getting kind of completed with a bunch of cool guitars we've got in the works here. Some of them are available for sale on the site, some of them are in progress. So if you're ever looking for something, you can ask us. In addition to the guitar that we're building in this video, it may be available for sale unless someone claims it in the process. So last episode we were left with, we had some of the wood processing and the prep. Now we're getting into the exciting part of getting the wood cut out. We're going to do the chambering today. We're going to be gluing the top, fitting the top, getting the book match glued up. And then we're going to get a couple other things prepped just for the next round of this part of the build. So we're going to start seeing some blocks of wood take shape. And this is kind of definitely where it gets a little more exciting. So let's head over and talk about the chambering process for the lay block. So we're over here with the Sapile blank that we glued up in the last episode. You can see it here. We've got everything pretty much cleaned up. What we did is basically just hit it with 100 grit sandpaper to make sure it's all flat, clean up all the glue, that kind of stuff. We really want a flat front and back surface for our glue, or for our mounting to the CNC, excuse me, I'm gonna say glue joint there. We already did that part. So what we've done here is also mark the center line. We're gonna use the center line as a reference point for a couple different reasons. One, we have a machining operation for just this part of the blank, and then we have one after we glue the top onto this blank. So we've gotta make sure we do things in right order, and we gotta make sure we can track where the machine is gonna start. We have a little bit of wiggle room with the chambers, but not a ton, because we've got to think about them, make sure they're not running outside of the cutout of the body as well. So again, we're going to go back to our template here. So we've got our dual humbucker Les Bois template. This will be kind of as we lay out the piece. Now you can see we have plenty of room for this piece here. We do have a little bit of planer skip in the top part of this blank, so it kind of drops off. Sometimes as you run through a planer, it'll dip a little bit as it first enters. So when we plane pieces of wood, we make sure that we run them through one direction. And if we have those little planer skips, we can make sure they're obviously outside of the blanks that we're working with. So what we're going to do is just kind of set this up here. We're going to get the center lines matched up with our template. And we'll be able to kind of see the shape again like we did in the last video. Up the top, we'll be able to see the shape of the guitar. And this will also dictate where the chambers lie as well. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that out here. Now this is just for fun, kind of. Obviously we are going to be putting a top piece on here, but get a little idea of what the back looks like as well. One of the things I'm going to do also is put the humbuckers in there. And we have a little point here. Let me zoom in for you. So you can see right above the bridge humbucker is kind of the 0 point for the CNC. Now again, we have a little bit of wiggle room, but we want to know where that point is based on our square edge down here. And when we talked about gluing this up, we mentioned making sure that the edge was square, because we're going to use this edge to reference the 0 point for the CNC, which is basically where the job starts. So the closer we get that on both pieces, the better for when we try to cut everything out. So I usually put a little cross mark here. So we got the center line, we got the top of the humbucker route. That is the 0 point there. So sometimes I'll often even make a little star there, as you can see. That is where we're going to start the job from when we do the chambering. Now you can kind of see the shape there. Pull the camera back just a little bit so you can see the shape of the body. You can see how just even with 100 grit sandpaper, those ribbon stripes are going to pop out even more. It's going to look really great. The last thing we need to do before getting this ready for the CNC, so we have our 0 point on the center line. So the chamber is going to end up over here, here. We've got the electronic area here, and then there's a small chamber up there. So that's kind of roughly where everything's going to lie. Now the most crucial step is, like I said, we've got to make sure we know exactly where that's going to be. So we're just going to use a simple square here. We're going to mark the edge of this, and we're going to lock it down where that center block is. So when we glue the top on, we're going to use that same method to mark exactly the same spot for the CNC on the top job. So this is all ready. So let's go over and get some chambering done on this thing. We got the blank mounted on the CNC. I'll pull back the camera here so you can see. Got it ready to go. We're going to be doing the chambering here. We've got the 1/2-inch bit right on that mark that we set here. We set some heights. We did the design. We're going with, we have about an 1.5 inches to work with on this blank. So we're going to go 1.25 inches on the chambers to make sure obviously we don't punch through the back. We have a little bit of extra room there, but our chambers are going to be that 1.25 inches deep. So that'll give us some nice weight relief and the cool sounding chambers. And then the big one over on the upper side of the bout there is going to be where the F hole is going to be over the top. So that'll give you kind of an idea of how this is going to work. We will go ahead and start the machine here. Normally we do have some dust collection hood on here, but we're going to pull this back so you can see the machine cutting for just a bit as it starts the chambers. And so we'll show you just a bit of that process. So the chambering is all done. You can see we've got some pretty sweet cavities all set there. And again, we're going to have the cavity kind of from the back side. So essentially there's technically 4 chambers in here. Obviously we have the back plate on this guitar, but this will be the chamber area for the electronics. And it's kind of just a look under the hood of how this is going to be. We've got our top glued up. So let's go take a quick look at the glue up process for the top. Okay, so that concludes episode 3. We got a lot of work done with this week. The machining went very well. So here is the body right here. held in place by these tabs you can see on the back side. Just kind of holding on to it because the tabs are very thin. We've got our neck bolts through, we've got our ferrule holes through. We're doing really good. The channeling went really well, so you can see the F-hole there, and then you can see the outside channel all the way around. We showed a little bit of clips as we were cutting it. But now from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the sanding of this body. We're also gonna focus in the next episode a little bit more on the neck construction and getting that all put together. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.